Hello, in this video we are going to add a little feature to our BrickBreaker game where, close up things, where essentially in the last video we added this button to track, or this checkbox to track it, but you'll notice now the bricks actually, every time I hit them, they change color. So this is kind of a way to give the bricks some strength. So let's take a look in this video how I did this, and my hope is that you can take this and build on this a little bit. So let's just close these up. There we go. Back down. And let's come in here. So this is where I was working the last time. And so this is essentially a situation where I have a single brick, hits it once and it breaks. But if I click it, I have that tracking option. So the way that we can go about this is what we can do is we can come up and we can find this spot where we create all our bricks. We just need to kind of scroll down to find it here. And there they are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to try to change it. I'm going to remove this color field, which is going to cause some problems I'm going to have to clean up. And I'm going to make my status 3. So what this means is that the status is basically the strength of the brick. One way to do this could be to add an additional field like health, but I just decided to modify this status field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to figure out all the spots I need to do a little modification. So I need to deal with the collision detection with the bricks. I'm going to have to do, and as well as drawing the bricks. So those are the two places I have to kind of look to kind of do some modifications. So let's start with the collision detection. So initially the way the collision detection works is we loop through our two-dimensional array of bricks, and then we take each brick element, we store it in this temporary variable b, so we can look at it, and we essentially only draw the brick if b.status is 1. But that's going to be a problem now. And we can see that pretty quickly when I run it, no bricks get drawn. The reason no bricks get drawn is because I set their status now to 3. So what I need to do is I'm going to draw the brick if it's greater than 0. Now when I run this, it still doesn't draw. So let's go through and find a couple other spots that are causing some problems. Have you figured out what's wrong? I'm dealing with this section where the collision of the brick, I'm not drawing the brick. So let's come down, let's find the draw brick. There they are. And here's the same thing. If status is greater than 0, we're going to draw it. So now I get my bricks, but it doesn't work exactly how I want it to. It just draws everything as green right now. So let's see if we can figure out how to solve this problem. Okay. So let's come back up to dealing with, let's deal with drawing the bricks first. So essentially, the last time I did this, I added this new field called color, and I drew the brick a different color based on whatever the color field was. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to change the color based on the status. So if the status is equivalent to 3, we're going to make the brick blue. If the status is equivalent to 2, we're going to make the brick red. And otherwise, we're going to make the brick green. And so this is all we have to do to actually change the drawing of the bricks. So now if I run this, all the bricks are initialized to a status of 3, which we can see right up here. Let's just find this. There it is. So all the bricks are going to be drawn as blue. But they disappear. So let's figure out what's happening here. Why are they disappearing when I hit them once? And that's going to we're going to have to go to our collision detection. So notice what happens when I collide with the ball. When the ball collides with the brick, I immediately set the status to 0. But that's not what I want to do. I want to take the status and I want to subtract 1 from the status. And by subtracting 1 from the status, what I'm doing now is I'm saying, okay, you're 3, you've never been hit. Now you're 2, so you've been hit once. Oh, and now if we load this up and we turn on our trusty tracking, this is wonderful. So now what happens is every time a brick gets hit, what it's going to do is it will reduce 1 from the status, and that status is what drives the color that the brick gets colored. Now you will notice something funny here if I reload this. You'll notice that one brick actually disappears when it gets hit once. And that's just a little something you can think about. What's actually happening there, we'll do it once more. Look on the left-hand side of the screen. That's because the ball is actually bouncing in between those two bricks and it's kind of rapidly hitting it. That's one of those things you can kind of figure out and tweak. Kind of find ways to get around those little bugs. We're not going to worry about that too much. Now if I let this run for a bit, you're going to notice a bit of a problem. I'm just going to let this kind of run for a while. And we'll just wait our scores. Every time I hit a brick, my score increases. Oh, and it's telling me I won even though there's still bricks there. So this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle we have to kind of address to make this work. And so let's jump in here and let's take a look. Close this, close this. So if we come in here, we'll notice that the way we decide if you've won the game or not is we simply check if the score is essentially the number of bricks we have. Now you can very simply solve this problem by multiplying by 3. Because if you think about this, initially all the bricks had a status of 1, meaning they could be hit once. Each time you hit it, you got a point. Now, because you have to hit the bricks 3 times, you're going to have 3 times the points that you're going to acquire. But I actually don't like this as a solution. And the reason why I don't like this as a solution is because it's a little bit simplistic. You know, eventually what I might want to do is I might want to give some bricks a status of 2, some bricks a status of 3. So trying to figure out the number here is a bit of a pain. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this slightly. Is I'm going to look at every brick, and if every brick has a status 0, then I win. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by creating a var, and it's going to call win. I'm going to set it to true. So what this does is this assumes that I win. I am a winner. And then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to loop through every brick. So 4 bracket C1 equals 0. C is less than brick column count. Oops. C plus. And then I'm going to say 4 R1 is equal to 0. Oh, it should be C1. C1. Now, the reason I'm using C1 and R1 as opposed to R and C is because I'm actually inside the other loop right now. So I want to use different variables. So R1 is less than brick row count, R1 plus plus. And now what I'm going to do once I'm in here is I'm simply going to say if, and we're going to say brick at C1 R1 dot status is not equal to 0. So basically, if I find a brick and the status isn't 0, I'm no longer a winner. So win is going to be false. And now what I do is, and this is the loop that goes through every brick. Now what I do is I don't check, in order to check if I'm a winner, I don't check if what the score is. What I simply do is I say if win is equivalent to true. So let's just go through this again. As opposed to checking the score now, essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if all the bricks have been removed from the screen, and that's what tells me if I win or not. So what I do is I start off by creating a Boolean variable called win, and I set it to true, assuming I've won, and then I write a loop, and this loop is going to go through each brick. Ooh. Let's set this up. So it's going to look at each brick in sequence. It's like irritating right here. And essentially, when I look at each brick, I'm going to check the brick status. And if the status isn't 0, that means it's still on the screen, which means I haven't won. So I set win to false. And then once I'm done looking at every brick, I just check if win is true, then of course I've won. Otherwise I haven't. So let's give this a run. Let's track this. Oh, we have a problem. Let's go back and see if we can figure that out. So can you see my mistake? Probably saw it earlier on when I was writing it. but let's just go back and see. Let's debug it together. So it freezes as soon as it hits the brick. So that suggests that there's somewhere in the brick collision that's an error. So if I pull up console, it says uncaught reference error brick. There it is. I called the array of brick as opposed to bricks. So if I run this now, there we go. So let's track this. I'm just going to pause the video to like just about 1 just to show you it works. So I'm going to pause. Okay, so I'm just about there. We just have to wait for this to kind of hit these last few. Now there's one more. And there you go. I've won. So I hope this video helped. I think your next step would be a nice one is to set it up such that bricks can have varying levels of health. So it makes it a little bit more interesting. You know, if you played this classic BrickBreaker, some bricks are unbreakable, which is an interesting kind of feature to add in. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Have a wonderful day.